Thank you so much for listening to another episode of CX Chronicles Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Brady-Cesana. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of the CX Chronicles Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Brady-Cesana. Super excited for today's show, guys. We have an awesome guest. Mario Baddour, CEO of InteLogix, is here on the show. Mario, say hello to the CX Nation, my friend.
Adrian, thank you. Hello to CX Nation, and I'm super excited to be here. Although it's early morning for me in Utah, but I'm still looking forward to this episode, and I can't wait to see what Adrian has for us here today.
Well, number one, there's no way you got to where you are today without being a little bit comfortable waking up bright and early and doing all the fun calls at all hours of the day. But number one, super appreciative, Mario. I really am. I had such an awesome, our conversation the other week, man. You just left me with so many ideas, so many questions, so much more that I was pumped to jump back into today. But let's start off like we start off every one of the episodes, brother. I'm going to give the microphone to you. Just spend like a minute or two before you got to the seat that you're in today as the president and the CEO of InteLogix out in Park City. You had all these ridiculously cool experiences. Spend just a couple minutes setting the stage for our audience and for our listeners. How'd you get into this world, man? How did you find yourself into this world, and how did you find yourself in the position that you're in today leading InteLogix?
Look, thank you for the question, and I'll try to summarize it very quickly. And I wasn't supposed to be here. I went to architectural engineering school, and I had this dream to go build an airport or something, or design a museum and just get rich and be out. So that's what happens when you're 18 years old and eager.
Hey man, that's okay to dream, baby. It's okay to dream.
All right. So anyways, halfway through my engineering school, I realized I needed to learn AutoCAD because that was drafting everything manually wasn't going to get me a job. And I needed to go learn AutoCAD. At the time, it was AutoCAD 13. So they're well beyond that right now. Anyways, long story short, I got this internship at Hewlett Packard, and it was a fascinating company at the time. I was very lucky to be part of a group and a company that had a vision and was on the edge of technology, creating, inventing. I mean, I remember we were part of the team talking about the first photo smart camera, the first digital camera ever released on the market at the time. So there was a lot of great experiences that happened at HP. I spoke languages that helped me to get into the customer service side of the business as we built our first call center in Canada at the time. As you know, Canada has regulations where you have to deliver services in both national languages, French and English. And that's how I got into the business, and it evolved from there. I had the opportunity to meet great partners that we had. I eventually crossed over the fence to the BPO side, or the vendor side, the partner side, and it was fascinating. And I would never go back. I couldn't see myself going back at the time to a slower pace or a on the client side. I've always thought we're an inch wide and a mile deep. In BPO, you're a mile wide and a mile deep. You get to specialize in various industries. You get to experience various industries, and I spent the last 20 years in BPO, and I've been doing this for 25 years. So it's been great journey. Lived on 4 different continents as an expat, engaged in multiple countries. Probably worked in over 40 countries in total.
Wow.
It's been a great experience, and that led me to put it all together, package it all together, and come and do something pretty magical here at InteLogix.
That's fantastic, man. So number one, 40 countries, man. Like I consider myself extremely fortunate because I'm coming up on 30 countries, traveled to, not worked in, right? So like, and then I gotta be honest with you, Mario. I tell all of these incredible people like you, man, these incredible leaders and these guys and girls that are running some of these incredible companies. I don't know that there's a better form of education and learning and understanding and like connection than travel, brother. There isn't. Like, you go and see how different people live, how they eat, how they talk, how they work, how they socialize. Man, that's a game changer. And then I got to be honest with you, but I've always thought, like, with me, like, maybe deep down, part of why customer experience, working with customers, being able to manage up to executive teams, but then being excellent at managing down to all the guys and gals that got to get shit done every damn day. I always attributed to, like, having the fortune of traveling and meeting all these people and then getting comfortable with uncomfortable and, like, stretching. Yeah, so that's amazing, man. It's super, super cool. So thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about InteLogix, man, because I'm pumped to get into
Yeah.
this. Let's jump into the first pillar of team. Spend a couple minutes talking about, number one, the team that you've put together and the team that you've built at InteLogix. And then I'd love for you to kind of get into just some of the things that, as you were building the business and as you were really kind of pulling this amazing team together that you've built today. Spend a few minutes just kind of talking about team, man, and spend a few minutes kind of talking about the InteLogix team to give our listeners for a sense for all the different players that you've put out on the pitch to bring your customer experiences every single day.
Thank you, Adrian. I think, first of all, I mean, I think that's a very important topic. I many have various ideas in what does a CEO do, and you can you can explore that topic for hours. But for me, it comes down to two very simple things, and I continue to learn and evolve as a leader. But that's what I know so far. Number one, 90% the value of the CEO is to be able to assemble a team, an effective team, period. You're not here because you know how to run the business. That's table stakes. For sure, you know how to run the business. That's something that's given at this point. You've learned that in various roles and throughout your journey. But the ability to assemble a team and the ability to identify a team um, is very critical. And as simple as it sounds, not many can do that. Not many can scout the talent required for the stage of the journey that the company's in, because the company goes through various stages.
Absolutely. Yep. Well said.
And
Yep.
I like not to give this example because it's a little bit bold, it's a little bit rough, it rubs people the wrong way. But it's almost like trade day in NFL where you're trading players, okay?
Yep.
And doesn't mean the player is no longer good. They're amazing. They're all great players. This is an amazing talent you're dealing with. But the strategy for this team for this particular season may differ from last season. Therefore, you need a different player on the team this year.
Yep.
Hence
Yep.
the trade.
Yep.
And
Different chemistry, different interconnections, all that.
I,
Yep.
there are people that I have enjoyed working with that I have learned so much from, but they simply weren't fit for a particular stage of the game that we were in, strategically, tactically, etc. And that's the hardest part. And how do you kind of not select these individuals, or how do you part ways with these individuals, or how do you shift them to a different role within the organization because they're no longer fit for that particular phase or stage of that journey. So assembling a team was critical, and we can talk about this forever, but I'll net it to this. InteLogix was not InteLogix. The company was incepted in 1968, um, um, was a financial institution, a collection agency, for lack of a better word, um, an agency that serviced government entities, banks, large financial institutions, and student loans, etc. And that fast forward and became almost a billion-dollar company in the 80s. Okay, this was a very large organization, and then the world changed, technology changed. When you're in the finance business, you are heavily regulated. Policies impact your business. Fast forward to various administrations in recent years, policies around collections changed. Reg F came into the industry that regulated how you collect money and receivables. You had student loans policies that changed. One administration said, let's not collect on student loans. Others said, let's collect differently, etc. collected captively in-house versus outsourcing it. So there was a lot of different dynamics in the marketplace that impacted this business. Fast forward from 1968 to 2018 or so, this was, and then COVID happened. The asset was in distress, and there was a need. Our investors, new investors, saw this need to transform this business. There was a great talent in the company. We had assets, facilities across this nation, and there was this need to go do something very different with it. So if you take, if you kind of contemplate all this, that requires a different team, different talent in the beginning to come in, truly um, rebuild a company. Or I would even say you got to clean in the beginning, clean up, then build, then grow, then expand on growth and innovate. These
Absolutely.
different phases, these different stages require different talent and different team members. And
Yep.
we've gone through all these stages. And it was a very bold vision that we set sail um, towards, and we've been delivering so far. It's been great, and I'm very thankful for my team to for the support and championing that vision with me.
I love it. I mean, Mario, you're spot on, man. So number one, just to the history, right? The history in general of Interlogix and all of these things that it had done and all of these things that it achieved and all of these different parts of the market that it was able to clearly penetrate and really kind of just build a massive business around. 67 years, man, that's a long time. Like, come on. Like, look at how much the world has changed in the last 10 years, let alone the last 67 years. So, like, number one, makes a ton of sense that different teams, different subject matter expertise, I would argue different personalities that equal the culture of where you wanted to bring this business. Those are all going to have to be flipped around, and you're going to have to change a bunch of things. And then I also know, you have you jumped quickly through you have an incredible background. So you met some ridiculously smart, awesome people. And then you shared this with me last week, but you met some, like, you've got people that work for you that are your friends now that are helping to build this business and build this company. Dude, that's a game changer. I say this a lot on the show, but man, people often forget, all of us, we spend more time working with our team and working with our customers and working with our partners than we do hanging out with our wives and our husbands and our sons, our daughter. It's like, so, like, having a work family that you trust, that you respect, that you appreciate, that you already know they're going to understand how to take their area of the business and go fucking run with it. That's a game changer, man. That's a big game changer. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Before we jump off this, you guys have a big team. You're all over. You have offices all over the world. And then you mentioned the COVID part. What is it like for you, kind of having, you guys have almost according to LinkedIn, almost 800 different associated members. What's it like for you to kind of run a global team like that? And what's it like kind of having to be able to sort of have a pulse or a sense on what's happening across the globe? Um, and I know that this makes it easier. Look at me, you're in Park City right now. I'm sitting here in Buffalo, New York. We're talking as if we're in the conference room together. But, like, what's it been like for you, like, over your career as technology and as just general communications and video conferencing has improved? What's it like for you to be the CEO of a company that has people and offices and customers all across the world? Has things changed as you've gotten deeper into your career? Is there anything, do you find it easier? Are there things that you sort of miss from the good old days when you just had to get your ass on an airplane and go fly it? Like, what's it been like in terms of running a team in this modern era of, like, what we're doing right now with global comms and all that?
Yeah, Adrian, you're packing a lot there. So, but I'm
That's
gonna
what I
try
do,
to
Mario. That's
dissect
what I
it.
do. They should have warned you on that.
I'm gonna try to dissect this to some key points that you brought up. First of all, yes, I'm very proud of our expansion, rapid expansion. This company was in one country just 2.5 years ago, and to think right now that and by the way, 800. You mentioned 800. That's one country for us. We're about an 8,000 on an average employee company. It depends on the whether we're in a season of ramp or not. But um, so call it on an average between 7 to 10,000 employees. Depends. But you look at this, and that's the nature of our business. It's heavy on labor, but you look at this, and we're now in El Salvador, we're now in the Philippines, both Metro Manila, and we have redundancy in Bacolod, one of our the Philippines islands, provincial sites. We are in Canada. We are in Egypt. Um, we have we're looking at another facility that we'll be announcing soon in Europe. So when you start looking at all this, um, COVID changed the dynamics. Okay. Um, COVID accelerated tech. I think we had tech, a vision for certain tech to come to the market or be released to the market in the 2028, 2030 timeframe. I think COVID forced us and forced tech companies to accelerate their tech to the market, to enable a hybrid environment, to enable a work at home environment, to enable a remote connectivity done properly. Someone may be listening right now and may say, "What are you talking about? We were able to VPN into work back in 2005 or 2008." Well, this is not what I mean by work at home. A proper work at home is a platform that's enabled with not only cybersecurity but also physical security. It's a platform that enables you to detect whether it's Mario behind the camera or Adrian behind the camera, and that's facial detection, right? You gotta have that. It's a platform that allows you to detect whether there's a cell phone or mobile next to you or not, whether you have a paper-free environment or not. It's a platform that enables you to do things that you used to do. You asked me, what do you miss? You used to listen to a call in the field and walk up to someone and say, Adrian, that was an amazing call.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm inspired by hearing you talking. You tap them on the shoulder, you give them a
Walking the
little
floor, baby.
reward, and you kind of that cheering factor went away a little bit. Now,
Yeah,
how do you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
replace it? How do you replace it? There are gamification platforms that you can embed into your technology today. Well, you could do the same thing. You can send someone a high five and a certain point system through that gamification platform. And with some points, you can turn them into real money and purchase something or buy something from the Interlogix store, apparels, etc. Tchotchkes, so that's the kind of stuff that you could do now to gamify and apply alternatives to what you had before when you used to be in the site. Um, Talent management. We're dealing with people. Before we used to go and ask someone to kind of join you on the side and have a conversation with them from a human to another human,
Yep,
apply a lot of
yep.
empathy and say, look them in the eye and say, tell me what's going on. What can I help you with? There's something off. You're not performing well. Let's just try to work out a plan together. How do you do that remotely? Well, there are platforms today that you can also adjacencies and ancillaries that you can attach to your tech to be able to do that and to collaborate. So when I say work at home, no, this is not let's VPN into the desktop, okay, or into the network, or let's remote desktop to another box in the site from home. No, I'm talking about this entire ecosystem that gives you a level of security, a level of performance management, a level of talent management, a level of rewards and recognition that you have to run an efficient operation. Because at the end of the day, no matter what technology is here, we're still dealing with humans.
Yep. Yep. I couldn't agree more, man. I could not agree more. One quick thing before we jump into tools. Man, what you just said is spot on. Like, I think two biggest things that I miss about, like, and don't get me wrong, we're still in here at CC, we're in a hybrid role. We go to our customers, but a lot of times we're doing, me and you are doing right now, Mario, where we're talking on videos, we're doing working sessions, we're doing consultation, through video with teams all across the world, which has become super duper normal, right? And frankly, COVID for a business like CXC, I don't know that we'd be able to do this if COVID didn't truly normalize this, because now everybody's used to seeing their teammates like this, right? And then every now and then, or hopefully you're working at a company where at least once a year, or a couple times a year, you still get to go in the flesh, because nothing is better than when you get to go break bread with your team or break bread with your customers or have a beer or go watch a game or be humans, right? Like, not just work, 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 be humans together, right? People like to work with people they like. But the one big thing that you just mentioned that I couldn't agree more, walking the floor, man, in our type of game where you've got guys and gals that are talking to customers all damn day, messaging with customers all damn day, dealing with problems. Let's call it what it is. Most customers don't call and say, Mario, I just called to tell you I love you and you're amazing and everything no. Like our people that are here to take frontline support, usually shit breaks down or there's some consternation or there's an issue or so anyway, walking the floor for me, man, I'll never forget like when you hear some of those incredible conversations or you see some guy or gal who's just an absolute all-star, high energy, just almost talking in a call center as if that person's literally sitting at the opposite side of the desk from them and just killing it. I used to love hearing that and then being able to go commend it or celebrate it. And then the other big thing I miss is the water cooler stuff. Not everybody misses the water cooler because let's call it what it is. There's a lot of bullshit conversations that happen at the water cooler. But for me, I remember some of the collisions, meaning you have 90 seconds to go from a conference room, go take a bio break, freshen up your coffee, hit the water cooler, and go right back. But sometimes in those 90 seconds, you would bump into someone on the team that, let's say that you're on sales, you'd go bump into an engineer friend. Or let's say that you're on the operative side, you'd go bump into one of your and then so like in those little short collisions, right? Being able to be like, hey man, I heard about this thing that you guys are working on. That's fucking brilliant. Like so I miss those collisions, and I know collisions are, I think, becoming a little bit more difficult because we have so much noise in the remote in the hybrid world. You kind of negate collisions, right? The collisions are almost distractives. Whereas in the real world, it wasn't that way. You'd bump into somebody in the team, whether you're the CEO or whether you're an entry level person, you go to fill up your water at the same time. There's going to be a natural human. So I missed that
Adrian,
part.
there is there's a symbiotic relationship between what we do and what you just described. What do we do at the end of the day when we are helping, assisting customers? We are building a connection of some sort. You spend 8 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes on the phone with someone talking, whether it's about their private life because you're building a healthcare plan with them to fit their needs and their illnesses, etc. Whether it's because you're setting up this amazing vacation that they have saved for all their lives, right? Whether it's helping them pay a bill that's a utility bill that they can't afford, but you're trying to devise a plan with them. And as to how to do that, you need the lights to stay on at home or the heat to stay on or whatever. So these are very meaningful connections that you have, not only you have to solve. Yeah, at the end of the day, the end result is the metric, I guess, is the uh, first call resolution. The metric is resolution to solve the problem. But before you get into the metric, you're also building a connection. And we can't today talk about work at home and we have all the tools and the tech if we forget the importance of connections. And I see it, and we have to practice it at all levels of the organization. We alternate today as an executive team. We have our e-team meetings virtually, but we make it a point at least once every 4 to 6 weeks to schedule ahead of time an e-team session that's face to face in our headquarters. Okay.
Excellent.
And I will tell you the energy, whether it's serotonin, whether it's dopamine, whatever you want to call it, but that connection, the
Yep.
fact that you're sitting next to each other,
Yep.
that energy and the passion and the renewed energy that the team usually leaves with, it's worth every nickel, every penny for their travel and the cost to make these meetings happen. I would not replace them. I think it's important. I do not, in our industry, believe in the old traditional headquarters because you need to force the executive team to meet, like I said, every now and have these meetings not in a headquarters, have these meetings in our facilities. So the employees can see their leaders, can see us walking in, spending a day in their site, having that connection with them, having that interaction with them, and rotate different facilities, different sites, and get everybody to see you and everybody to get to know you. So I think there's a lot of the industry evolved a lot. Yes, 1950s, I think Coca-Cola started the concept of BPO, and it was simply a labor arbitrage model, augmenting resources.
Sure.
Fast forward, now there's no such thing as a traditional BPO. A tech-enabled BPO is table stakes. You have to
Yep.
have a
Yep.
tech-enabled. It's an investment grade platform.
Yep.
That's how you look at it, and I think disruption is no longer operational. It's structural. It has to be part of your company. It has to be part of the foundation of the company. You have to be able to build a future-proof enterprise value as you enable tech, as you run this model the way I described it. I view it as you're increasing it's value creation to the asset, and you're increasing your enterprise value overall when you do these things.
100%, man. I couldn't agree more. Mario, I'd love to talk about tools, man. So number one, InteLogix has got a bunch of incredible tools and solutions that they deliver to the customers every single day. But before even getting into that, with your background and all the companies that you've been a part of, and then being on all the different sides, right? You've seen literally the whole nine yards. Um, how do you kind of think about how companies go about number one? And then I love, and this is gonna cool for you, man, because of what you had to do with InteLogix. But like some founders, CEOs, executives, they need to build a tech stack from scratch. It's a brand new thing. They get the benefit of being able to build from the foundation up and be strategic and thoughtful. Other executives have to come in and they've got to do renovations and rehabs. They got a stadium built. They have to almost strip a stadium down, or they've got to bring it down to the studs, bring it down to and then they got to rebuild. I'd love to just kind of hear how you think about number one, tech tech stack investment and tech stack construction. And then I'd love to think, because you're smart and you're super mathematical and you think very, very pragmatically around this. And then how have you kind of thought about, or how have you gotten better as you've gotten deeper in your career with once the tech stack is built or once the tech stack is given to one, how do you sort of think about tech stack optimization? And then how have you kind of gone about thinking about how should some of the listeners today, how should they be thinking about tech stack utilization? And how should they be thinking about, like, and think about Mario? Not all of our listeners are running big companies. A lot of these people are building tomorrow's leading companies. So they're small, they're scrappy, but like, I'd love to kind of just understand how you think about tech stack construction and just general management. And then I'd love to think about or hear how you've thought about or gotten better as you've gotten deeper in your career with tech stack utilization and making sure that you've got a lean, mean, understandable, comprehensible tech stack that everyone can show up to work and really kind of understand exactly what's expected of them from a tools usage perspective.
That's Thank you for that question, Adrian. That's definitely another packed question with many topics, but let's see what we can
we don't we don't do
peel out of
we
it.
don't do the simple ones here, right? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's just this is a complex space, you know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I love that you said renovation, because that touches on when we talked about teams. You have assets where you have to build, you have assets where you have to renovate first and then rebuild, not build, because it was already built. You're just renovating it, um, um, uh, rebuilding it, and then growing it, and then continue to innovate so you can continue to grow it further. Okay, and that's the journey of that whole value creation that I'm talking about. Um, you have to create a resilient cash flow asset. At the end of the day, cash is king. Okay. Um, I've always said revenue is vanity and margin is sanity. At the end of the day, right? You can grow a company all you want.
I like it.
If it's not EBITDA accretive, or if it's not cash accretive, then there's no use for it, right? Especially in a business that we are in, where you're trying to continuously um, compete by reducing your client's total cost of ownership. So what does all that mean? It means you have to be very intentional when you bring tech. I mean, we have a cacophony of tech right now. Everybody talks AI. Everybody's talking um, various tools, and we have to be intentional. What are you trying to solve for? And are you ready to start bringing tech in? Okay, because whether it's generative AI, whether it's RPA, RPO, robotics, whether it's generative AI, whether it's agentic AI, no matter how evolved your digital strategy in, at the end of the day, these are nothing but a very sophisticated code that answers certain questions or certain queries from a source. That well, if the water in that well is contaminated, if the source is no good, then no matter how sophisticated the code is,
Yep.
you're not going to get the desired outcomes that you
Absolutely.
want.
Yep.
So that's why you have to be intentional, Adrian. I see competitors, I see other leaders in the marketplace talking about the latest tech they got. But hold on a second, your source is still not structured. I encourage everyone to go build a data warehouse that's structured first. Structure your data so your source is well defined and then bring the tech on. Okay? Because you can't pile on tech if your source is not structured, if your source is not good. So I think that's very foundational. You gotta, any company, any size, you have to think as to, before I go and build this facade that I have all this tech, do you really have a structured source first and a good content first, right? Um, look, in layman's terms, I mean, you put if you put crap in, you get crap out. That's really that's in simple words what I'm trying to say here.
Yep. Yep.
So make sure you have meaningful content and be intentional. Once you have that, then you kind of step back and say, all right, now I got everything structured. What do I want to get out of it? Do I want my tech to be serving my team internally? Do I
Yep.
want my HR, democratize my HR and make the agents have a self-serve platform? If you want a letter of employment, you need to go and queue up behind the HR office, try to ask for an employment letter, or you can actually go on an app and get it yourself, right? Because you want to get a loan or whatever the need may be. Do you want your finance team to quit running spreadsheets and have a AI enabled platform that you can call out any report you want and customize it the way you want and pivot to any table you want in 2 seconds? Or so there's a lot of internal digital strategies you can apply to extract capital from the field, reduce your cost, and 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 allow you to be competitive. Or you could have a different strategy. You could say, my strategy, my AI strategy is very external. I want to make my client's life easier, and I want to focus intentionally on applications that will help me win business, um, and bring tech to my clients that potentially they are not aware of. Or you could do both if
Yep.
if you can
Yep.
run track one, track two at the same time.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
but you got to decide, what are you doing. You can't just automate a spreadsheet internally, then get an app to sell it to a client, then your content is not working. And oh, by the way, all that AI you're buying the cheapest license that's coming your way, and the license is so cheap, you're getting it for $2 versus $50 because that license is designed in a certain environment, in a certain geography where there's no regulations, and now you get into ethical AI and the
Yep.
source is not
Yep.
ethical. So the data could be compromised. You could put your clients and your company at a cybersecurity risk because you bought a cheap license. I
And
mean,
we're seeing those
there's
stories. There's been a bunch, Mario, just in the last couple of weeks, man. There's a bunch of these stories of some of the leading AI building companies risking their clients' information or losing
100%.
their clients' information, or so. Like, you're spot on, man. Like, when
And boards are
we're in a,
held accountable. I mean, if you're a board member today, there is a whole new journey you have to go through and relearn as to, from a fiduciary standpoint,
yeah,
how do you
interesting,
make
interesting.
decisions on
Yep. Yep.
approving tech in a company that has
Yep.
an ethical source, because
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
then you're responsible if you're making these bad decisions as well.
Yep. Super interesting. Um, Mario, I'd love to jump into process. And I know I always joke that this is the least sexy of the pillars, but it isn't. And then as I was learning from you last week, man, and you were kind of talking through all of just the background of some of the businesses that you've been a part of building, growing, buying, selling. Process isn't unsexy. Process is oftentimes the glue and the rebarb that holds these things together. Throughout your career, man, how have you kind of thought about number one, wrangling process, and or how have you thought about the expectations that you've set for your extended leadership team? Because I understand CEO seat is different, man. Like there's a lot of things going on, and you've got to trust the guys and the gals that you put in key seats to get shit done. I understand that, but as you've gotten deeper and deeper into your career, and as you've seen more and more and more, and like, dude, you've been a part of some huge deals, and then on the private equity side of things, like you understand, folks that don't understand a lot about private equity, I urge them to stop and pause in this part of the episode and just go learn a little bit about it. I'm not saying you got to get into it. I'm not saying you got to do anything about it, but me and you were laughing the other day. We know a lot of smart people that don't know anything about private equity. We know super rich people that don't. Well, that's not true because once people get rich, they start to learn about private equity. But what has been your playbook, man? Like, how have you kind of wrangle process? How have you thought about sort of your Mario living playbook as you got deeper and deeper and deeper into your career? How do you? What are some of the important things that you mandate with your extended leadership team or with your executive leadership team? And then what are some of like the tricks or the tips that you've got for some of our listeners today? They're going to be tomorrow's leaders when it comes to process and things that they should be think about, things that they should be thoughtful, and maybe things that areas they should be flexible and areas that they should be a bit more draconian. I'd love to just kind of hear you talk about process for a few minutes.
Yeah, Adrian, I think that's very important. When I talk about we're building an investment grade platform, what does that mean? I mean, it's beyond the words here. We're building um, an investment grade platform for me, which what InteLogix is. It's an asset that's at the end of the day is and will remain and will continue to be highly interesting for investors. This is the business that we're in. This isn't a charity at the end of the day. So we're all in this to actually create value, and value creation for financial investors, and strategic investors has to be an asset that is resilient in cash flow, that's scalable, that has the ability to continue to grow and the ability to continue to improve on value creation. Okay, none of that happens without process. A process is the backbone of any operating business. You have to follow process, otherwise it's the land of misfit toys. Okay, everybody's doing their own thing. What does that mean? It means consistency. It means you have to build a process that ensures outcomes aren't dependent on humans, on individual heroics, I guess, for lack of better words. When someone tells me this department will fail if I'm not here, well, you already failed. If you built a department
Yeah.
that basically is 100% dependent on you as a
Yep.
person,
Yep.
you've already failed. So
You failed. Yep.
so might as well talk about this right now, because the failure just happened already. Okay, if you're admitting this, every client interaction, every workflow has to run predictably. Okay, we can't be, especially with the tech that we talked about, especially with AI. I mean, prediction in AI is the infancy of AI. It's so passe at this point. AI has evolved from, it used to be prediction, it evolved to idea creation, and now it has evolved even further to decision making and strategy. And that's the agentic phase. Okay, so if we're still talking about a model that's not predictable in a world of AI where predictability was the infancy stage of AI, like 3-4 years ago, then we definitely have a problem. So the company has process is important so we can deliver consistency. Process is also important because you have to deliver scalability through process. Without strong process, growth, in my opinion, multiplies chaos. Because if you don't have predictability and a consistent process, you have a chaotic environment in the company, and you could grow, but as you grow, you're multiplying chaos even further. And that's why process is important to scale, also scale quickly and deliver predictable results. Also, process is important, in my opinion, uh, because we learned it during COVID. It gives you resilience. In disruption time, um, what we all lived during the COVID pandemic, uh, and we continue to live with tech shifting in different ways. Um, process keeps operations stable and recoverable, so it builds resiliency. So not only it gives you consistency, it allows you to scale, but it also gives you the resiliency that's needed to operate a business in any kind of times that we experience. And all that, Adrian, is value creation. I go back to value creations. Investors and clients don't just look at the top line growth. They want operational discipline and operational excellence. And you know what? This is where we coined the term nothing sells better than operational excellence. And that comes through the process disciplines that I just talked about.
I love it, Mario. I love it. Recently I was listening to an episode of 20 VC with Harry Stubbings, and he had the Databricks CRO Ron Gabrisco on, and this dude was awesome. And guys, I'll put this in the show notes, but like Ron talked about Mario, what you just said. Harry asked a very simple question. He's like, "How did you?" Because for folks that don't know Databricks, right, they went from like $0 to 3.7 billion in revenue in a very short period of time. And Harry asked a simple question, similar to what I just asked Mario. Ron, how did you kind of build this playbook? And he had so everything you just said: consistency, predictability, the
Resilience. Yep.
resilient, and then to your you just said this, the value being baked within that. And then he brought it one step further. He said, if I can't build a playbook that I know unequivocally, I can then go and hire my first, and then my 10th, and then maybe even my 50th $1 million a year sales rep, then I'm doing a shit job. Because if I'm good, if I understand everything that Mario just laid out for us, guys, and guys, every one of our businesses is different, right? So like Mario's different variables with InteLogix are going to be different than Databricks, are going to be different than CXChronicles, are going to be different than Coca-Cola. But what Mario just said, guys, is spot on. We're like, there has to be some point in the process where this stuff is laid out in a way where any excellent guy or gal can pick that up, understand it, maybe, and then over time, it is okay to start to. We at CXC, Mario, we build living playbooks for our clients because they should be living. Every at bat that you have with the customer, every at bat that you have with the lead, every at bat that you have with a partner, you're gonna learn. If you're doing your job well, you're listening, you're learning, you're pitching, you're pivoting. So living play, but like I think it's fascinating how many companies we come across. There's almost like a devaluation of this, Mario, and I just think that we're in a world now where, and then you layer AI on top of that shit. Like this is like thinking about how your playbooks and how your process is going to be written, and challenging your executive team to make sure that they've got a badass playbook ready to deploy to their sales, their marketing, their operative, their engineer team. That's going to be a big part of it. Mario, let's jump into the fourth and the final pillar of feedback, my friend. This is an interesting one for you, so I'm gonna tee this one up to you to be able to kind of talk through the different areas that you guys have to think about at InteLogix. But it said simply, what are some of the ways that you guys are always asking for or leveraging your customer feedback? And then what are some of the ways that you're always asking and leveraging for your employer and your partner feedback? I'd love for you to kind of close up today's episode, just kind of spend a couple of minutes. What are some of the things that have worked really well for you in your career with making sure that you can take feedback, convert it into actionable calls to action or actionable steps, and then most importantly, turn that into money making, turn that into retention, turn that into the time to value, some of the stuff that we know that is critical on a P&L.
Yeah, that's another great question too, Adrian. One of the fundamentals of marketing, they teach you that in the first hour of a marketing class, is before you get into how you market a product and how you design the label or the packaging or how the product should work and all that kind of stuff. You have to get into identifying the product. First of all, what's the product? How do you identify a product in any business? Like even at InteLogix, how do we identify a product today? We have to go and identify a need. No product exists in the market today if you don't understand what the market need is. So you have to go and identify the need. Once the need is identified, you start designing the product, and then you start ideating on the whiteboard and coming up with a product. So back to your question, how do you guys take feedback? Feedback is the backbone of everything we do with our clients. We want to sit with our clients in quarterly business reviews and monthly business reviews. And I, by the way, I'm not a fan of these meetings because they've been the same since the 90s. You go in and you start going through scorecards. It's a compliance meeting, it's not necessarily a business review meeting. Some clients, I won't say everyone, but some clients are highly sophisticated that their quarterly business review is, I don't really care about your KPIs. I see them every day.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
access to your report.
yeah, yeah.
Let's sit and talk
Yep.
about the top 10 reasons why my clients are calling your call center.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And let's ideate around how do we reduce that, or how do we solve for that? How do we evolve beyond that? That for me is usually an awesome business review where you can actually put people with various walks of life from various experiences in one room and try to ideate and solve. And that's how a product usually is born. Because,
yeah,
and a product in our industry may not be, or at InteLogix may not be a tangible product. It could be a process, right?
yeah.
We just talked about processes. It could be a certain service. Uh, so real-time surveys. I call these real-time surveys. When you talk to clients, when you check in and ask the right questions, um, give you that kind of um, pulse check and insight as to what you need to go build. And by the way, then you get into tech again. Before we used to have these quality analysts that we hire, and they will go and survey 8-10% sample size of all the volume that we handle, and you have a subjective person using whether you're relying on their knowledge and how they feel today, and they
Yeah,
will have to kind of score that particular call and come up with analysis on how that call went and how what the problem was. Well, put all that aside right now. You got AI on your platform, a platform that's digitally enabled. Every single call is surveyed. You have telemetry coming in from 100% of your calls, crunched and analyzed in real time. And then, as an operator, you get real insights with scientific um, evidence as to what the problem is. So take that as a feedback, right? And then what do you do with that now? You know,
I like
so
how you
so
I like how you say that. Take that as like it's all
yeah,
right there. All of it's right
it's
there.
right in front of you. And right now, it allows you to be present. It allows you to be innovative. It allows you to put your entire energy and effort on actually ideating and coming up with an awesome product to solve for the issue at hand that was given to you, that's scientifically backed through the data and the analysis that an AI-driven sentiment platform furnished you with. That before wasn't available to us. The sample size was not enough. There was always that margin of error because of the um, minimal sample size. Plus, you had a lot of subjectivity in it. So oftentimes, companies in this space would go and solve and cure a problem that's not a problem to begin with, and you spend a lot of money doing it, right? And then you bring the consultants to try to kind of augment that problem even further. So now we have scientific analysis um, that's backed by an AI-driven platform that gives you exactly the issues, exposes the issues, and you just have to go and truly analyze them and ideate and solve for them. Most importantly, at the end, we talked about different various ways of gaining feedback, Adrian. Closed loop feedback is the most important. We don't just
Absolutely.
want to collect
Absolutely.
feedback. right?
Absolutely.
We want to act on it and show what has changed,
Yep.
put it back in the curriculum so you can
Yep.
train on it so it doesn't happen again.
Mario, there's been so many clients we worked with that, hey, we need help with auditing our NPS, CSAT, customer effort scoring, product satisfaction, whatever the hell, EMPI, whatever they're trying to do. And the first question is, excellent. What are we going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? How are we going to be able to create a loop so that if we're going to go out there and help you fetch a bunch of stuff, because it makes it worse. If you can go get 1 million survey reviews tomorrow, guys, if you don't have any type of loop strategy around acknowledging we received it, here's what we're going to do about it, and then the segmentation piece that happens behind the scenes of when and where and how somebody literally comes back to you, whether it's an automated message, if it's the easy breezy low severity shit, or whether it's literally a director or a vice president calling a customer back if it's high severity, and it's like, holy shit, this is turn land world right here. Like, somebody's got to reach out immediately. I love that, Mario. And then
Adrian, that's all external, but you know who your real sensors also are? The employees are the sensors on the ground.
100%, man. 100%.
Right? I mean, if you're not listening to them, if we're not listening to them, we're blind.
Absolutely.
I love getting emails from employees, and I will go on record here in public to say I act on them, and my team knows that. The employees know that.
Yep.
You can't react on every single email you get, but for me, there's no smoke without fire. So you gotta for that email to come your way, someone took their time after a lot of sadness, pain, challenges.
They did that phone call 50 times to have the nuts to call Mario and say, dude, this is your company, bro. What's going on? I've seen this 50 times, and I couldn't agree with that more. And then the last part too is just like, there's validation that comes from the front line. I can't tell you how many times we'll start the conversation with a vice president or a senior director. And then as we start to put together the task force of the guys and the gals that's going to unpack what that journey consternation points are, you get to that front line, and you get to one of my favorite parts of this job, brother. This is why I keep doing this. You get to the front line and you find some awesome A player who's been doing this shit, 100 calls a day for 7 years. They know the system, they know the journey, they know what customers love, they know. You start there, or I oftentimes start there, because they're going to be validators. And then almost 95% of the time, before some consultant can give a CEO top 3 possibilities or top 3 probabilities or top 3 opportunities, your A player on the front line already knows what those are. You don't need to get McKinsey.
Their feedback is the raw material or the raw data for innovation at the end of the day. That they know firsthand what's happening. They're your eyes and ears, and they're listening to how what the customers are saying, how the product is behaving, and how all the defects in the product, etc. And you ought to hear them out and be able to filter as to what's real, what's not. But that's where the raw data for innovation is, in my opinion.
Love it, man. Mario, this has been absolutely fantastic, brother. I'm super duper appreciative of you coming on the CXChronicles podcast, sharing your story, sharing the story of InteLogix. I hope this is the first of many, my friend. Before I let you go, where can people get in touch with you or your team at InteLogix if they want to learn more about what you guys are doing, or if they want to learn more about the incredible stuff that you guys are putting out there into the world every single day?
Look, Interlogix.com, www.interlogix.com. That's our website, and it's pretty straightforward. You can get to us through our website. You can email me directly, mario.baddour@interlogix.com, and we're there for you. So thanks, Adrian, for today's interaction. I enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll do more of these.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mario. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great day.
Be sure to check out the CXC website. And as always, find us on any of your favorite podcast players, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and more.